Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another video going over the flooding threat across the southeastern U.S. as have been seeing daily thunderstorms over the past few days, and that will continue for a while. And we're going to start off today's video here with the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook, and we have a couple of things to note here. We have a slight risk for severe weather across portions of the mid-Atlantic. We have a marginal risk of severe weather up here in Wisconsin, not much to talk about. Marginal risk of severe weather near Texarkana. Another marginal risk of severe weather in the Pacific Northwest, or at least kind of getting into that area. Oregon there, Idaho as well. And then one of the smallest, the tiniest marginal risks I have ever seen over Amarillo, Texas. That is very tiny, almost the size of the city itself. As we move into tomorrow's outlook, this is a little bit more bizarre. We're talking about a slight risk for severe weather up here. Look at this for portions of Washington State there, Oregon as well. That is very interesting and honestly quite a bit rare for that area. And so we're going to kind of go over that real quick, some of your hazards that you might be seeing. We don't have a tornado risk, so that is the good news there. Storms are going to be moving the wrong direction for tornadoes. For our wind risk, we do have a 15% chance of wind within 25 miles of a given point. Same thing as hail. I'm actually a little bit surprised that hail risk isn't a little bit higher, but still 5% chance of hail there, so guess keep your eye on that. Now moving into our flash flooding risk with our excessive rainfall outlook, we do have two slight risk areas here. Our first one is across Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia up there, and then our second one is down across coastal Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. This would be for today. And you know, not every single one of these risks have been verifying, but just the other day in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, we had a flash flood emergency. So for sure, we've been seeing a ton of rainfall in some isolated locations and, some storms sitting over areas for a very long amount of time. So we're going to have to continue watching out for that because all it takes is one and we could be talking about a big flash flood issue. Moving into tomorrow, not much at all, just a marginal risk of flash flooding. That goes the same for day 3. We're not talking about much as we go into day 4, same song and dance, some stuff up here in Montana. And then day 5, again, it looks like flash flooding will take a very brief break before ramping up again. Which is why I'm making this video, because it's not done yet, even though it may look like it. Alright, and now we're going to move on to the HRRR model to see what the severe weather could be looking like up in Oregon and Idaho, and even portions of California and Washington going from today into tomorrow. And I am having to use a different website right now. Going back to Synoptic Weather, Aguacero unfortunately does not run properly on my computer. It is certainly a really good website, but it looks like my hardware cannot handle it, unfortunately, but maybe sometime in the future we can get that back up and running again. For now, we're going to be using Synoptic Weather for quite a while, I think, but this is a good website as well. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our storms here. You can see through the rest of this evening, we do have our storms here, and if you all are curious, because this is a new website, the date and the time is right down here near the time bar. That is where you can find all that information. But we do have a strong line of storms pushing through the Medford area into Eureka, sort of going into tonight. But the real show is going to be tomorrow when we see a lot more strong to severe storms blow up here across these areas. And look at this, by the time we head into the evening hours, you got some pretty big time hail cores here. Like right there, you can see that's a pretty big hail core. That there, you have one right here as well, which is why I'm kind of confused they didn't issue a 15% hail risk, but still definitely have those hazards in place there. As we continue through, this turns into one giant conglomeration, a lot of damaging winds, some hail with that, and then that's all said and done. Now going down to the southeast where we have, our flash flooding risk that'll continue. You see a lot of thunderstorms going into tonight, especially across Arkansas there. Things will shift off to the west a little bit. And then as we go into tomorrow afternoon, you can see clearly a lot of storms across the southeast. We have a big cluster over there, and a big cluster right within here, especially into Arkansas. That could be a big problem with your Ozark Mountains right within there. You can see a few landslides, perhaps, maybe a rock slide. So just be kind of careful out there if you're out on the roads, in the mountainous areas. You can see we do have storms that continue. Again, look at that. Through Arkansas, another round moves in as we go into tomorrow night. Again, watch closely. Then, as we head on through into Friday here, our storm coverage lessens a little bit, but you still have some areas where flash flooding will certainly be a concern, like right there again, and then kind of up here as well. Got to watch out very closely. Now, how much rainfall could you see over the next 2 days? This is going to be our HRRR model, and this is going to be a good depiction of isolated thunderstorm activity and what implications that may have on flooding. So we're going to take a good look at this here. And the one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb is the flooding in Arkansas right up here. I'm definitely a bit concerned of the Ozark Mountain area there. You can see we do have some pockets upwards of 4 to 6 inches of rain being possible. That little area right within there, 7.5. That's not a forecast, but if your storms stay over the same area for a long enough amount of time, it's a possibility. And then a lot of other areas within here too, you see upwards of isolated 4 inches, and so certainly is going to be a concern. Now, kind of steering way off course, we're going to take a look at tropical weather activity, and I promise you all this is very important, and this is actually going to contribute to most of our flooding going on next week. So we're going to take a good look at this here. We're looking at our Western Atlantic Basin here and on our European model. A lot of energy kind of coming out of Central America right here. You see a little bit of a low pressure system. Again, this is quite uncertain on some models. That likely will not be a tropical system. I do not expect anything like a tropical storm out of that. It's way too early in the season and conditions are unfavorable. But this could potentially slug some rain up into portions of the southeast right there. Like, look at that there. Some daily thunderstorm activity, enhanced flooding potential. That will continue. Again, another round there. But the GFS has it a lot more intense in nature. It actually has it a little too intense. I mean, this is, wait until you see this, right? So you see our system forming right here, and for some reason, I don't know why, it's the GFS. It shows a tropical storm. This isn't that far out, less than 10 days, but still, this is not going to happen. There's no way. With what I'm about to show you, it's borderline impossible. I mean, regardless, lots of flooding is going to be likely. This has tons of flooding going into Florida, into other portions of the southeast there as well. And we're not going to continue this because if we see anything form off of this in the long-range model run right down here, that's going to be wrong. So we're not taking a peek any further than this. As we take a look at our wind shear here, you're going to clearly see that conditions are highly unfavorable for tropical weather development, but more or less so just your flooding threat in general that this will support. I'm kind of tripping up my words, my goodness. Again, had a pretty crazy technical difficulty a little while ago, so still a little bit upset about that. But you can see we do have a lot of wind shear here. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and tilt all your updrafts, that could form your tropical system and essentially cause everything to be lopsided and not form. That is what we're watching out for. However, if your wind shear maybe starts to go in this general direction, flooding will be a much larger concern for the southeast. Though luckily, on this model run, it's going more like this. So that would kind of direct most of the rain away from the southeast until, of course, it gets onto land a little bit more. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at your dew points here, just kind of showing you how moist the environment is right now and will be. Talking about dew points for the next few days and even longer into the 70s here. Take a look at Florida down there in the mid to upper 70s for dew points. That is terrible, especially with how hot it gets down there. That's pretty much unbearable for you all. And then this will continue to, continue moving on, sloshing around here as it does. The atmosphere is a fluid, and this is a good way to see it. But again, our dew point's really sticking around here, sticking, kind of sticky, if you know what I mean. It's going to feel sticky out there, that's for sure. Look at that. You even have isolated dew point values closing in on 80 degrees. I mean, geez, that is bad. And again, it's just going to be very humid out there. Total precipitable water, you're going to have a lot of water stored in your low to mid to upper levels of your atmosphere here. You can see we do have a lot of it right now, and here being stored across your southeast, upwards of 2 inches of water aloft. That is remarkable, if I don't say so myself. And we could see that rebuilding from time to time. And I mean, some of these areas, you're seeing your readings 2.25 inches aloft. That's a ton of water. And, when your storms form, it's going to bring a lot of that down to the surface. And that's, going to lead to some flooding issues. Like I've been saying, it sounds like a broken record, but flooding, flooding, flooding. And according to your European model, over your next 15 days, there will be a ton of rain across the United States, especially your southeastern U.S. And we're clocking in on, potentially 5 to 6 inches in some areas. This is a very far out, though, so not a forecast by the slightest, though. Again, lots of rain, lots of flooding in some areas. I've just been saying that the entire video. On your GEFS ensemble here, it kind of gives you a more smoothed out look, kind of a better look, if you will. You don't see anything too aggressive on here. We're talking about between maybe 3 to 5 inches of rain. Nothing too crazy, but crazy enough for flooding, like I've been saying. This over here, again, I'm going to have to do this again. I did this in the last episode. It deserves to get the big old red X again because that's not going to happen. We are not going to see a tropical storm over here. This model needs to calm down a little bit. We're going to see a lot of rain, not 10 inches. That seems a little excessive. But again, flooding. Just kind of note we could see flooding. And with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's really choppy video. Again, I really wish that website would work. I could do videos in the future on my laptop. That runs really quickly, though. I have a big computer and I want to use it, but if I can't use it, then I can't use it, I guess. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share this video with friends, family on social media, and maybe even feel free to leave a comment in the section below. And, honestly, you all have a wonderful night, everyone. Stay very weather aware out there. Stay safe from the flooding. Turn around and don't drown, as they'd say. And I'll see you back here very soon.